What's going on, guys? My name is Adam, I am a Super Swan, and welcome to Club 5, Episode 12 of the FM19 Brexit Manager, where Brexit means Brexit, and this will be the final episode of the Brexit Manager save. We have gone 10 years in the future. It is the year 2038. What has happened to all 5 teams since we were in charge? So we're going to find out what happened to KuPS, Austria Vienna, Fortuna Dusseldorf, Wolfsburg and Napoli. Did they build on the success that we left them, or have they turned into a average or worst team in the last 10 years? So what I've done, I have gone on 10 years, and if I can scroll up to the top of the news, we've done the best 11 of each of the 5 teams of when we took them over. So as we go through the squads, we'll look at the club as well, see where they've been, see if they've won anything. That'll give us a better idea as to what is happening in the world. So we're going to start with KuPS, the Cup side of 2020, and it's also going to be a trip down memory lane for a lot of players that we had during our career. So many people look back in 2020 and remember the Cup side that won the Finnish Premier League title and the Finnish Cup. What happened to our side with the likes of Esamel Match and Jiri Niskanen? So let's have a look. So only a couple of players who played in that KuPS team are still in world football. El Match is a goalkeeping coach for Fortuna Dusseldorf. He's now 38 years old. He has now retired. He's an alright goalkeeping coach. Looks like he had a decent career at Ingolstadt, St. Pauli, William too, and now he is starting his coaching badges, and he is in charge of the under-19s goalkeeping coaches. Jiri Niskanen is the assistant manager of the Swansea City under-18. So Swansea City are following us throughout this channel, and Jiri Niskanen is the under-18s assistant manager, and he's not too bad. He's got some very good mental stats, good working with youngsters. He's not too bad. He was Crawley's assistant manager, so he looks to be, the perfect assistant manager. He's had a career at Khufu, Den Bosch and Cambor. I've never heard of any of those teams, but he is he's carving a career in the Swansea under-18s. The other players to feature on the side were Toivomäki. I'm sure a lot of these players are retired, so I'm not going to click on every single one. But Toivomäki, Koulibaly, Appelholm, Murillo, Maricic, Haradecki, Agyapong, Peninen, Karjalainen. What a player Rasmus Karjalainen was. Probably my favourite player out of all the KuPS players. Kaká, the one-cap wonder for Brazil. He was a youngster coming into us, but he still only had the one-cap wonder. Tabimanga, Hakusia, Gabriel, Saxman, Salvalainen, and Patrick Star, who's a massive disappointment. It's pretty much stayed in Brazil. Yeah, he wasn't as good as I thought he was going to be. But that is the KuPS side of 2020. And let's see, have a look, see how they've got on. So those two are all title wins. So 2019, 2020. They won the league the year after, we know that. But they've been on a bit of a sharp decline. They have won the league 3 times, 4 times including 2021, since we left them. But a 4th place, 7th, 3rd, 1st again, 3rd, 5th, back-to-back league titles in 29 and 30, 3rd, 2nd, but a sharp decline to 9th, 5th, 11th place in 2036, and 2037 they finished in 9th. So they have definitely dipped since we left them. They are now a mid-table Finnish side. Have they won the Cup since we left them? So they've won the Finnish Premier League, we know that. So they won the Finnish Cup in 2020, they won it in 21, 22 and 27. So they did win the Finnish Cup 3 times since we left. So KuPS did pretty well. They won a few league titles, won 3 further Cups, but they have now dipped as a mid-table Finnish side. So not been the best since we left KuPS, but they were our starting point and we had very fond memories in charge of KuPS. But we do leave them in 2038, so 20 years since we started at KuPS. They've won the league, they've won a few Cups, but effectively they are now a mid-table Finnish side. So we moved on to Austria Vienna of 2021. So let's have a look at a few of these players. So Austria Vienna, Jan Malak. Well, we'll read from the start. So although the vast majority of the team has retired, a few continue to ply their trade. Santino is the only player still at the club. A 34-year-old Santino. He is going back to Brazil. He is going back at the end of the season. So he is, he's done his time in Austria, but I'm very surprised that Santino stayed at the club. Because I remember when we left the career, he was worth something like 25 million and a host of clubs were in for him. But he has managed to stay in Austria Vienna, and for 300 grand, he has carved himself out an amazing career at Austria Vienna. We'll have a look and see how many titles they've won in a moment. Jan Malakar is currently ahead of youth development for Rotor Volgograd. So we brought in Malakar from Palermo. He wasn't the best, if I'm honest with you. He didn't quite hit the heights I expected him to. But he's a very decent head of youth development. 13 ability, 13 judging player potential, 13 working for youngsters. So I think he'll carve himself out a very good career as head of youth development. So fair play to Malakar. He did pretty well for himself. He is now in the head of youth development. But the other players to feature on that side were Patrick Pence. What a goalkeeper he was. 37, he retired. 11 caps for Austria. A very solid goalkeeper for Austria Vienna. George Teigl, Woutface, Marcus Wostry, Cucurella, who I'm sure we brought to Fortuna Dusseldorf with us, James Jego, Christopher Martins Pereira, Venuto, probably the best winger we had at Austria Vienna. He did go back to Brazil, went to Santos, I'm not sure AMG or BRPR, but he did go back to Brazil and scored a few goals for AMG, but he didn't go further than that. But Venuto, I'd say one of my favourite players when we were at Austria Vienna. Sean Clare, Gigi, Marius Doppelfield, who came through the youth ranks. He's now a scout at Mattersburg. Not the best of scouts, but he's done well for himself. He's now bald, so obviously time has not been kind to him. Christopher Machinko, a really good left back. Pavicic, Mansour, bald, who I'm sure we'll be seeing in the Wolfsburg best 11, but we'll have a quick look at him. So he is a free agent, so he's still in the game. 36 years old, 107 caps. Did he move on from Wolfsburg? No, he didn't. He stayed at Wolfsburg, so we brought him in from Austria, we brought him in as Austria Vienna boss for 275k. We bought them off Austria Vienna for 27.5 mil, so we helped out our former club with some financial compensation, and he stayed at Wolfsburg for a good 10, 11 seasons. He was a very solid deep-line playmaker, and he was in the sevens throughout his whole career. Only his last two, he dipped to a 6.98 and a 6.93. So Mansour Ball's still in the game, and he's still looking for a club 10 years on. He's still classed as a world-class midfielder. Lost a bit of his physicals, he is 36, but he's still got some very solid mentals and some very solid technical ability. So we got Mansour Ball, Philippe Dargestal, and Kaj Sahis, who we had on loan from, I believe it was Bayern Munich. So Austria Vienna, we knew they won some titles when we left, but did they win any more? Let's have a look. So we took over, I believe it was around the 2021 season. We only lasted 2 seasons, really, before we moved on. They did win a league title in 24-25 and 26-27, so they did crack the Red Bull Salzburg monopoly, but they've been second place for almost 9 years now. They've been a solid second place, so they really haven't cracked the monopoly that is Red Bull Salzburg, unless there's a new dominating force. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the past winners. No, there was no dominating force. It was Red Bull Salzburg. They've won so many league titles, and that just shows how hard it is to crack Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. They did disrupt it for 2 seasons. We weren't there. We'd already left at that point. But Red Bull Salzburg continue to dominate Austria. And with them being out of the cup as well, how many cups did Salzburg win? Let's have a look. We look at the competitions. Austrian FA Cup, yeah. They dominated the FA Cup as well. If we have a look at the past winners for that as well, yeah. Red Bull Salzburg. Kapfenberger won it one year, as did Lask. So it wasn't all their way. But Yeah, Red Bull Salzburg completely dominating Austria. So unfortunately, Austria Vienna are still the second club in Austria. But, a few of their players went on to do amazing things. Philip Koku's now in charge, mind. And they are now a 4-star reputation team. So I think they have done a lot better since we were in charge. But unfortunately, they were not able to crack the monopoly that was Red Bull Salzburg. Fortuna Dusseldorf. So we moved on to Germany. In the second division, we won the Bundesliga 2, but the best 11 we're going to have is the team we left them with. So this is going to be a few of the players that we brought in. Some of them we brought with us to other clubs, but this is going to be the team that got us a 6th place finish in the Bundesliga. So some people may struggle to name Bernd Stocks. I think it's his name because we left halfway through. We'll have a look at some of the team of yesteryear. 8 players now retired, the rest continue to be involved in football. Sevcic is the only player left at the club, so we brought in Sevcic. Again, he was worth a lot of money and a lot of teams were interested in him, but he did stay at Fortuna Dusseldorf, 33 years old, 144 caps for Czech Republic and 61 goals. He's an absolute beast at international level. We brought him in for 70k and look at the career he has had. Look at the goals, 21, 16, 14, 13. He's had more than 10 goals a season, bar, a few of his early careers. So he's really gone on to be a very important player for Fortuna Dusseldorf. He is now one of his favoured clubs. And I think he's carved himself a very good career. But let's have a look at the other players in this team. Marcos is playing for AC Milan. So the guy that I think we overpaid for on the wages, he did get a big move to AC Milan. 34 years old. And he looks like he's been there for a very long time. So they left him go for 20 mils. They made a little bit of a profit on him. But Milan seems to be the club he made most of his career at. Very, well, a 7.00 average rating. He was a very solid deep line playmaker. Again, lost a bit of pace, but his mentals and physicals are really, really good for a deep line playmaker. 34 years old, 50 caps for Brazil and 3 goals, so he's gone to a very top club. Carlos Caetano's at Wolverhampton Wanderers. So again, Caetano was a young Brazilian we brought in with a lot of potential, and he looks like he's gone to the Premier League to Wolves. Still worth 22.5 million at 33 years old. He never got a cap for Brazil. I think that is a shame. I think he could have done it at the top level. Maybe he didn't reach his potential. So where did he go? So he went to Fortuna Dusseldorf. He went to Barcelona. So he went to La Liga with Barcelona. They paid £20 million for him, but he only lasted 2 seasons before going to Club Brugge. So he did have a bit of a downgrade there to go to Club Brugge from Barcelona. So maybe he just didn't cut it at the top level. Maybe Barcelona discovered that he wasn't going to reach the high potential. But he did go to Club Brugge. He had 2 very good seasons, including the last one where he scored 14 goals from, I'm assuming, the right-hand side. So very important stats there. And then he got his big money move to Wolves in the Premier League, where he's lighted it up ever since. So I think it is a shame he never got any caps for Brazil, Caetano. But he was a very good winger for us when we were in Fortuna Dusseldorf. Who else have we got? Azier Ortega's at Bournemouth, so another player that I understand. Well, yeah, they're in the Premier League, and he's got some Europa League games as well. So we got him in because we wanted to trade him as a midfielder, but it looks like he's going to be a centre-back and a holding midfielder. Some really good mental stats, and his physicals are still pretty decent for a 33-year-old. Only 3 caps for Spain, so again, maybe he didn't quite cut it. He didn't quite reach the potential. He lasted a few seasons at Fortuna Dusseldorf, so he stayed there for quite a long time. But he did get a big move to Benfica, played 2 full seasons, and then got an even bigger move to PSG. So PSG spent £43 million on him, only played 17 games over 2 seasons, so obviously they didn't really see much in him, or he was more used as a rotation player. And then he was in the Premier League with Newcastle, and later Bournemouth, but they've spent a total of £125 million on Azier Ortega. A very good career. He didn't really get much games for Dusseldorf, as he was still a very young Spanish player. But, look, again, another player carved himself a very good career. Barrios is at Santos, I think that is. So yeah, Chilean gone to Santos. So seeing the end of his career, lost a lot of pace now, but he was a very good fullback when we had him in Dusseldorf. Went to Bayern Munich for a season, 33 million, so Bayern Munich clearly still trying to buy the best players in Germany. Only lasted 1 year before going to Valencia for 25 mil, then went to Real Sociedad for 13 mil after a loan spell. So he's been around Europe a bit, but Barrios gone back to, well, I say gone back to Brazil, I know he's Chilean, but gone back to South America, so to retire for the rest of his career. Peter Berger, Sampdoria, so the guy who was from Fortuna Dusseldorf's academy, is at Sampdoria in Italy, 32 years old, no German caps. How long did he last? Pretty much lasted his whole career at Dusseldorf from start to finish. It's only the latest season that he went to Sampdoria, and I think that's because he was out of the Dusseldorf team. Only 3 games in his last season, but he is now 32, so he's going to be winding down his career, but he's still got 15 acceleration and 15 pace at 32 years old. He's still got a bit of pace to him, so I think he'll do very well at Sampdoria. 6.8 average rate, or 6.6 in the league. So Berger did well, he went to Italy. And Franco Bella is at Kaiserslautern, kept it in Germany. Franco Bella, did he stay in Germany his whole career? No caps for Argentina. Again, they didn't see his potential, Argentina, although they may have had a lot of world-class players flying around at that time. But he stayed at Dusseldorf pretty much his whole career after we brought him in for £15 million. We did negotiate £20 million total, but he never got that far. Only 15 mil, but to be fair, I mean, he lasted a good almost 15 seasons, which is £1 million a season. I think that's a bargain in the long run. But he stayed his whole career before moving to Kaiserslautern in the Bundesliga. I'm assuming because he got quite old, lost a bit of pace. But I mean, a lot of these players are going to lose a bit of physicals because they are now older. But he did move to Kaiserslautern, but they did get relegated at the Bundesliga. So unfortunately, Franco Bella, he's lost a bit of pace there. Duta plays for Al Ahly, so Duta, who followed us to Napoli and had a really good season with us in our Champions League winning season. He stayed at Napoli till 2036, and now he's seeing out his retirement in Al Ahly. Still on 50 grand a month, so he's doing a week, sorry. So he's doing really, really well. 114 caps, 36 goals for Duta. Stojkovic plays for Oldham, and like Bissot is the assistant manager of Dijon under-19. So the guy who we had on loan at Dusseldorf, we then went to our former club, Austria Vienna. He is now an assistant manager. Not the best assistant manager, but he's still got time. He also wants to be a manager as well. So like Bissot could be a manager in this game in future seasons. So Fortuna Dusseldorf, how have they got on in the league over the years? So where do we take over? So we got them take over here. We got them promoted. And then they finished 6th, 8th, 9th. So they were on a bit of a decline. 14th, but they went back up to 5th, 8th, 7th, 11th, 8th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 6th, and 10th. So they are an upper mid-table Bundesliga side, which I think when we took over, they were very much struggling in the first few seasons in this series, but they are now an established upper mid-table team. Have they won any competitions? Let's have a look. So they haven't won the Bundesliga. They did win the German Cup in 2038. So Dusseldorf have won some silverware, which is fantastic news to hear. Nothing else to report that I can see. So Fortuna Dusseldorf won the German Cup in 2038. So the latest season they've won the cup. So at least they can say they've won some silverware in this series. So Dusseldorf, we took them over as a relegated Bundesliga 2 team, and now they're an upper mid-table Bundesliga team. I would say great success for Fortuna Dusseldorf. When we moved on to Wolfsburg halfway through the season, because they had a lot bigger budget than what we had, and this was the team that we dominated Germany in. 2 Bundesliga titles, a German Cup, and we almost got, we went to go quarterfinals in the Champions League. So we'll have a look at the likes of Pavlak and Bertrand Moreno. So these are going to be the big stars that we had in Wolfsburg. Although 3 members of the team are now retired, the rest are continue to be involved in football. Damjanovic, Gruber, and the Doc are still with the club. So the Doc is still there at 34 years old. And what a look at him. He's an absolute beast. I would say he's the best striker we've had in this series. He's classed as an elite striker. So he did stay loyal to Wolfsburg. And look at these numbers. So look at the goals he scored here. 14, 17, 17, 26 goals 2030, 28 goals 31-32 season. What a striker. Did he get any Brazil caps? 81 caps, only 35 goals, so a little bit disappointing on the international stage. But what a player the Doc has. And he's won we'll find out how many Bundesligas Wolfsburg have won, but he has stayed at the club. He's probably been one of their best strikers they've ever had. And fair play to the Doc to stick him with them, as well as Gruber and Damjanovic. But we'll have a look at the other players as well, because I don't want this video to go on for too long. I know we're at the 21-minute mark already, so I'm going to try and get this under 30 minutes if I can. Pepe has played for Man City. So Pepe did get a big move to Manchester City, the team we beat in the Champions League final. What year did he move? So we had Wolfsburg, we got him 26. So that was the season that we won the Champions League. So he did have another season before moving on. £58 million they spent. So Wolfsburg did get very much a return on investment from that buy from Sao Paulo. But Man City bought him in 58 mil, and he's been an average 7.0 defender for the rest of his career. Did he get Brazil caps? 91 caps, 4 goals. Legendary centre-back. I can see from the milestones he's won so much with Man City, including a Champions League as well. So Pepe, he's done very well for himself. Boggio is at PSG. Boggio, I think my favourite player throughout the whole save, has gone to PSG. So he has finally moved from Wolfsburg. Again, he stayed there for the majority of his career. Went to PSG only about 4 seasons ago for £50 million in the 30-34 season, or 34-35 season. So he did get a big money move to end his career, and he has done very well for himself in France. I can see from the milestone he's won a lot of trophies with PSG, which is to be expected, really, because PSG pretty much mop up everything. 160 grand a week, 112 caps, 2 goals for Boggio, a legendary player of the Brexit Manager series. Muhammad Ali's at Valencia, so he went to Spain as Wolfsburg kind of froze him out after we left, so he went on loan to Stuttgart. Yeah, he didn't play many games, did he? 2 games that season, 4 games the season after. So I'm not sure because the season we had him, he scored 11 goals. He was a really good inside forward. So I'm not sure what the other players didn't see in him. But he went to Werder Bremen before going to Barcelona. So clearly Barcelona's seen something in him. But again, not many games. And he's been at Valencia and he's absolutely tearing it up at Valencia. 13 goals, 12 assists. 12 goals, 14 assists. And the latest season, 19 goals, 12 assists. So he's always been a class player. No caps for France. Why aren't they giving these guys caps? They're brilliant players. So unfortunately, Muhammad Ali didn't quite have the knockout career. Do you see what I did there? Knockout career that he was destined to have. But at least he's tearing up at the moment. So Pavlak's at Borussia Dortmund, Elmbach went to AC Milan, and Karoglu went to Spurs. Verhoeven and Moreno is at Lille. That's a very interesting combination. So Verhoeven, who was a solid centre-back for us, did he move on? So he went to Arsenal for 22 mil in the last couple of years. So seen out most of his prime at Wolfsburg, but then went to Arsenal for a few seasons. And now, how old is he now? 33 years old, 50 caps. He is now seen his retirement out in Lille in France. So a very good career for Verhoeven. Hasn't won many trophies whilst he's been away from Wolfsburg, but he has done very well for himself whilst retiring, well, almost retiring. He was joined at Lille by Bertrand Moreno, who we got in on a free transfer from, I can't remember who he was from Marseille. We turned him into an inside forward and he absolutely tore it up in that final year we were at Wolfsburg. He is now at Lille. How did his career pan out? So he did do very well. Didn't quite hit the heights he did in his first season, mind. So 6 goals, 8 goals, 1 goal, 10 goals in the 31-32 season. He can also play striker as well, so maybe they played him as a striker. Went to AC Milan for £23 million, scored loads of goals for them, and now he's gone to Lille for free, so his contract must have expired. He was a rotation player towards the end of his career, but Bertrand Moreno, the Frenchman who turned into a Swiss international, 98 caps, 41 goals, 16 finishing, 17 first touch. He is still a beast at 34 years old. Diaz turns out for Gremio, so he's gone back to South America. Ojeda's at LA Galaxy, so the guy who went to Man City as soon as we left went to LA Galaxy. Let's have a look at his career. So he went to Man City for £50 million, scored 10 goals in his first season, lasted 2 years before going out on loan, so Man City deemed him surplus to requirements, went to Liverpool on a free, I wouldn't say tore it up, but did very solid for Liverpool, before going to River Plate in Argentina. So he did go back to South America quite early, did Ojeda, before retiring out in America with LA Galaxy. 36-year-old, only 19 caps, mind, so he didn't really get many goals or many caps for Argentina. But he does have staff attributes, and he wants to be a manager. And to be fair, pretty okay stats, because he hasn't fully retired yet. So maybe Ojeda one day will become a manager. Lucas Seegers is at Ferencvárosi Torna Club. Not quite sure what that is. The other players to feature were Angus Gunn. What happened to him? He's retired. Went to Atalanta, so a very solid goalkeeper there. Mansour Ball, we've already looked at. Juan Foyth and Rui Fernandez. So the Wolfsburg team did scatter a little bit, but we'll have a look and see how they got on in the career. So did they win any further titles? So we took over here. Well, we took over here, really. We finished 4th in the first season, won the back-to-back leagues. How did they get on? So they finished 4th, 5th, 2nd, 1st. They did win a further Bundesliga title. 2nd, 4th. So they've turned into Arsenal, effectively. Wolfsburg have. So they have turned into the German version of Arsenal. 4th place finishes, but we did bring them 3 Bundesliga titles, 2 for us and 1 in, the 33, 34, 31, 32 season. So they did win some further trophies, but did they win the cup? So let's have a look. So German Cup, 2027, so no, they haven't won the cup since. So it's only really 1 Bundesliga title that they've won since we left, and the German Super Cup. So not many trophies, which I would say is a big disappointment, considering the squad we left them with. I thought they might have dominated Germany in that time. Did they win the Champions League? I don't think the Champions League's in here. No, they didn't win the Champions League. So I would say that's a bit disappointing, really. I thought they would have done a little bit better since we left them. But Wolfsburg did win a further league title, which they broke the Bayern Munich Dortmund juggernaut in Germany. But yeah, unfortunately, a little bit disappointing from the Wolfsburg team. And finally, we come to Napoli, the Napoli tie of 2027, the Champions League Serie A winning team. So it says it was Valverde, but it was us. Ignore the news article, you've all seen it on camera, it was us. But it was 8 members of the team that are now retired, the rest continue to be involved in football. Sini and Kusamaker are still at the club, so Kusamaker, the young Dutch striker we brought in, he's more of an attacking midfielder now, but he was kind of an attacking midfielder anyway. So he is still at the club all this time. Let's have a look. So his stats, so that was his first season, 17 goals, and that was his best season he ever had. He was a bit disappointing throughout the rest of his career, only really a 6.8 average rating. So didn't really hit the heights, to be honest with you, since we brought him in. But at least he stayed at the club. A very loyal player, Robin Kusamaker. 82 caps for Holland, 24 goals. So did he win any further trophies? We'll probably find out. I don't think we can already see they didn't win any more Champions Leagues, but they won a few Super Cups and some Serie A's. We'll have a look at that in a moment. But Sini and Kusamaker still at the club. Dosek is playing for Manchester United. David Dosek, 30 years old, 105 caps, 78 goals. Look at these attributes. What a player! David Dosek. I knew you were good. I didn't realise you were this good. Look at those greens. He is a world-class player. £91 million. Wow. And look at these numbers. So we brought him in for Napoli in that one season. He was a bit disappointing, if I'm honest. He wasn't really that good. But since he left, he turned it on. He hasn't had he hasn't dipped below 7.0 since we last left. So he stayed for 2 seasons, including an 18-goal season, before going to PSG for £110 million, tore it up for PSG, and then went to Man United for £133 million. So a £225 million player, David Dosek. What a player. So they still play him at attacking midfield, so he hasn't moved to a striker, although he is a little bit of a midfielder now. But look at these attributes. He's an absolute beast. He's an absolute beast. And you can see he's won the Champions League with United, won the Premier League, won the Champions League with PSG. He's won it all. David Dosek probably is the best trophy cabinet of any player in this series that we've been in control of. What a player, David Dosek. Ping turned up at Real Madrid. Ping! Our backup left back went to Real Madrid. He stayed at Napoli for a long time. Let's have a look at his career. So we took over here, I think it was. So yeah, 7.49. He was the best defender of Serie A. Stayed for 2. He played 3 games the following year, 10 games the season after. So clearly he was still a backup for Cini. And now he plays for Real Madrid. Ping! What a beast! Plays for Real Madrid. Won the Spanish First Division a few times. Won the Super Cup. I don't think he's won the Champions League. No, he hasn't won the Champions League apart from when he was with us. But Ping plays for Real Madrid. Wow. Selic plays for Inter Milan. Cabellos is a fitness coach. So Danny Cabellos had him on loan. He's alright, I guess. Decent fitness coach. So he retired and now works in football. Xavi Burgos plays for Fiorentina. Fanesca's at Bournemouth. Aduta we already looked at. The other players are Alex Murray, Bustos, Militao, Diawara, Didier Estrada. What happened to him? So he was at Napoli, went to Liverpool, Blackburn, Bologna, and then went back to Colombia to retire. So it looks like he went to Liverpool after he left us. So Man City did sell him on. The player who won the Champions League against his former club. A start Frankie de Jong. This guy, the guy who won the Champions League for Napoli. He stayed till the 30-31 season, then went to Sevilla, and now he's retired. So Frankie de Jong will go down in history. The man who scored 2 goals in a Champions League final from 2-0 down, including an absolute wonder strike to win the Champions League in the 94th minute. Frankie de Jong, we salute you. Joseph Bracalo, Zivkovic, and Nicolas Narti. So let's have a look at Napoli. Let's see where they are. Did they win any further league titles? So we took over here. So we won the league in the 27-28 season. They finished 3rd the following year. 2nd, 1st. They won 1 further Serie A title. They did go on a bit of a decline. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They did come back 2nd, and they won the league title again in 35-36 before finishing in 4th place. So they did win 2 further league titles. Did they win anything else? So only the one Champions League that we won in 2028. So they did win the league title 31 and 36. Won the Club World Championship in 2028 after we won the Champions League. Won the they were runner-up in the Super Cup. They didn't win the Super Cup. And did they win the Italian Cup? So we were 2028. So they did win it they won it 5 more times, the Italian Cup. So they've really had a lot more success in the Cup than they did in the league. So they won it 5 more times in that series. They haven't won anything else. They haven't won the Europa League or anything. So 2 league titles, 5 league German Cups. So they've done all right. I think they've done okay since we left. Again, I think they could have done more with the players they had. But still, they've done a decent career for themselves today. So, my friends, I think that's pretty much it. I think we've gone through all the players that we've been in charge of. I think the only thing we'll have a look at is we'll have a look at the Champions League. We'll see if we can find the Champions League winners, see how they got on there, or who the winners were. So, past winners. So, where do we win it? So, we won it here with Napoli. Man City did win it the following year, so they did get revenge, I guess, for losing against us. Real Madrid, Man City, PSG, Schalke. very much a surprise winner in 23-34. Man City, Man United, and Man City. So English dominance, I guess, for a bit, but that is the most important one. Napoli winning in 27-28. So we look at my profile for the last time. We were a 4.5-star reputation manager. Our highest stats were man management and motivating. 16 attacking, 16 technical, 16 mental. Can we have a look at our histories or anything? Overview history. So 5 manager jobs, £10 million we earned through our whole career, £367 million worth of player that we bought, 264 value. Manso Ball, the highest fee we paid for 27.5, and Carriero for 28 mil in the same season, really. So we kind of made that money back. So we played 441 games total, won 280, drawn 83, and lost 78 games. So in 10 years, we only lost 78 games, which is a fantastic record overall. So that is really good, really. So I don't want to say anything more, but that is it, my friends. That is the end of the Brexit Manager save. It took us 10 years to go from a lowly no reputation manager in charge of KuPS in Finland to a Champions League winning Napoli side 10 years later. So once again, I want to thank you all very, very much for your support throughout this whole series. It's been an absolute roller coaster of a save. We've been all around Europe. We've claimed league titles in Finland, Germany and Italy. We've went to Austria. We've been around everywhere. We've had good results, bad results, last minute winners. We've had disappointments, successes, and I couldn't have done any of it without you. So again, thank you so much. So if you are watching this the day or, roughly when it comes out, there will be an episode Friday just as a channel update before we start a brand new series next week. I think what I'll do is I'll leave an image on screen of our team of the year. I think I'll probably talk through it as well. So let me put together, I would say, our team of the series, and we'll have a look at that before we go. So this is our career summary page with all the trophies and all the awards that we won. So you can have a look above and see all the teams where we finished and the awards. I've also included a team of the save, which I will go through now. We've got Patrick Pence in goal, and the reason I picked him was that he was an absolute penalty saving beast. The amount of times he bailed us out of penalties was unreal, and he was the first goalie that came to mind when I thought of a goalkeeper. I almost went with El Match for KuPS because he was a very important goalkeeper to start with. We could have gone for a few others, but Patrick Pence is the man that's going to start in goal. Left back, Edgardo Boggio. We got him in at Dusseldorf. We brought him with us to Wolfsburg. He is my overall player of the save. He is an absolute beast on the left-hand side. He'd bomb up the wings, cross it in, and he was a superb left back. We got him on loan. He was so cheap. £13 million it took to take him to Wolfsburg, and he was a staple of our sides for many, many years. So Edgardo Boggio is the left back for the team of the save. Eder Militao makes it for Napoli for the pure fact that he scored free kicks, he scored penalties, he was a solid centre-back, and he was a Champions League winning centre-back. So Eder Militao represents Napoli at the back. Hamid Koulibaly is his partner, again from our first club, KuPS. He was the best player for a long time at KuPS, and he got snapped up, I think, when we left, or just before we left, he got snapped up by a bigger team in Greece. But for a first centre-back at our first club, he was a very solid option, hardly made any mistakes, and he was the man I opted as Militao's centre-back partner. Ivan Damjanovic from Wolfsburg is the right-back. I think this is the hardest position I've had to pick because we haven't had that many really good right-backs or right-backs that really stand out. So I went with Damjanovic because he was an upgrade on our defenders at Wolfsburg, so he made it into the team of the save. Frankie de Jong from Napoli makes it in the midfield for one very obvious reason. He scored the 93rd minute or 94th minute winner to win us the Champions League title. He also got a goal to bring it to 2-2 or 2-1, so Frankie de Jong will go down in history as the player who, I would say, single-handedly won us the Champions League for Napoli. So for that feet alone, Frankie de Jong makes it into the team of the save. He is joined alongside Mansour Ball, who very similar to Edgardo Boggio. We got him from Austria Vienna, very, very cheap. He was a solid deep line playmaker, and we came back for him when we took charge of Wolfsburg. 27.5 million it took, but he turned into a world-class deep line playmaker. And as we've seen from this episode, he stuck at Wolfsburg until the end, until he sort of got released at 36 years old. Mansour Ball run the show from the midfield, and he's going to be the man partnering Frankie de Jong. On the left wing, we've got Rasmus Karjalainen, again from our first club, KuPS. He was running the show at KuPS. He could play on the left, he could play on the right. He let us sleep in his flat at the start of the save, and I think he was one of the more important players of that KuPS team. Between him and Koulibaly, they were the two standout players in that KuPS side, so I had to really include him, as he was our first player I think we took a real affinity to, and again, he moved on in the first season, and he was very sorely missed. At attacking midfield, I've gone for Peter Berger from Dusseldorf. He was in our academy when we took over. He had no games for Dusseldorf, but we seen the potential that he had, and we brought him through the youth ranks, and by the end, before we left, he was one of the main starters for Dusseldorf. Scored some important goals for us, both in the cup and in the league, so I thought it would be apt to include him in the team of the save. On the right-hand side, we've got Venuto from Austria Vienna. He was the main man, I know I keep saying it, but he was the main man at Austria Vienna whilst we were in charge. He'd cut in on that right-hand side and score some important goals. He did drop off as we left, which was a bit of a shame, really, so I think we got the best out of him in his prime years while we were in charge of Austria Vienna. But Venuto is the man that's on the right-hand side, and up front, there was only one man for the job. The man booking appointments, the man prescribing goals for Wolfsburg, and that man was the Doc, named by you, the subscribers, and he banged in goals for fun whilst we had him at Wolfsburg. I was debating bringing him to Napoli, but they wanted 75 million for him, which is fair enough, and he turned into an absolute elite striker at the club. So the Doc is the man that gets the nod up front. So looking at that team of the save, we've got players from every club we took over, which means that we had an affinity with all the players and all the clubs we'd been at. And I think that's going to be a very apt way and a very nice way to end this series. So I've already thanked you, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for the support in this save. And as I've previously mentioned, we will be bringing a new save to you starting next week. But there will be an episode coming out on Friday. It'll be a bit of a update channel video sort of thing, as we are, as of recording this, very close to 250 subscribers. So by all means, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, leave a like. We upload videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 6 PM GMT. And this is the end of the Brexit Manager save. Screw you, Theresa May. Don't need to work in Britain to get success. It's all on show in this series. Thank you very much for watching.